Was that last one recording?
Sure was.
Okay, good.
Yeah, which one do you prefer? Oasis or Blur?
Blur.
What?
Oasis, I mean Oasis.
To find 50 better tunes than this, I think you can do it.
Starts with E minor, Chief.
No, it's not. It's in G.
Well, I should know. I wrote it.
What do you want to hear?
Oasis.
Oasis, top 50 Oasis songs of all time, and we're up to number 3. Number 3, chronologically, of course, is Rock and Roll Star. And in many ways, this is probably the quintessential early Oasis song. You could make an argument that it probably could have been their first single, given the subject matter of it. You know, I live my life in the city, there's no easy way out, but tonight I'm a rock and roll star. I mean, it just says everything about basically Noel's living scenario, I suppose, before he went with the Inspiral Carpets as the roadie. But it does take its place, pride of place at the top of the album. The album opens up with that guitar. So it immediately brought in these, it immediately introduced the sound. If you hadn't heard Oasis yet at that point, which would be very odd if you were listening to the album, it's, you know, biggest selling debut album of all time up to that point. Fastest selling debut album of all time at that point. If you hadn't heard any Oasis and you just bought that album out of, I don't know, morbid curiosity, and that was the first thing you heard, it was probably a really good introduction to the idea of what Oasis was. It probably did crystallize what a lot of people were feeling at that time. You know, you're living in a council estate in Manchester, and but now look at me now, you're all in my hands. To put it in the pantheon of the top 50 Oasis songs, it doesn't really have to do much heavy lifting in that regard, because, you know, subject matter is perfect. The verse into chorus into outro, and I'm a bit iffy on the outro, but even on the way to the outro, it is just fantastic. It flows well. It's got great melodies, great sing-along, you know, crowd enhancing melodies. Got a lot of people onto the bandwagon of Oasis at the time. They released their first single, their second single, and okay, I've left the B-sides out of those, but their top of their album is this. If you want to make a mark in the world, this is how you do it. Yeah, so this is the Definitely Maybe era has started fully now. I mean, it sort of did when I did Supersonic, but this is this Definitely Maybe era. Tonight, I'm a rock and roll star. They talk about how, like, they've spoken about one of their later documentaries about looking back. I think it was Colin Murray interviewed them, and they were saying the best thing about early Oasis when they look back was playing Rock and Roll Star to 10 people. It's hard to imagine that any one of those 10 people would have been singing it back at them, because if there's only 10 people at the gig, it suggests it was maybe one of the first 5 or 10 gigs, which suggests people wouldn't be overly familiar with their tunes. Yeah, to go from that to selling out in Nebworth to 250,000 people. I mean, imagine that jump cut if you were Stanley Kubrick. Imagine jumping cut from that to Nebworth, playing in front of a wee grimy nightclub, playing in a landed gentry estate of 250,000 people screaming it back at you. You're not down with who I am, but look at you now, you're all in my hands. Because tonight, I'm a rock and roll star. You can check out my acting and my podcasting, Father Dead podcast, and just a lot of my other stuff. Acting, podcast, other stuff.